I didn't know we were.
The Ravens, shout out to them, man. I mean, it's one of the greatest hypothetical teams of all time, the Ravens the last 7 years.
From Super Bowl favorites to the brink of collapse in a matter of weeks. What the hell is going on with the Baltimore Ravens?
The Ravens players are no longer listening to what Harbaugh's saying, or at least they're playing like they're not listening. Right. So if you're not listening to what Harbaugh's saying, Harbaugh might as well not be saying it. And if Harbaugh might as well not be saying it, then he might as well.
Well, the fact that their Super Bowl winning head coach, John Harbaugh, was booed following their biggest home loss in 12 years should give you some idea. From stale coaching to one of the league's worst defenses, today we're going to evaluate where things have gone wrong for the Baltimore Ravens and if there's any chance of them turning things around in 2025. Now, that may sound like an overreaction to a 1-4 record, but when you look at how each of those losses came about, Ravens fans' frustrations become all the clearer. Remember, this was a team that spent their first rounder on safety Malachi Starks, seen as something of a luxury pick for a team who were favorites to win it all. A 1-point loss to the Bills in Buffalo doesn't sound like it should be the end of the world. After all, it clearly didn't harpoon their momentum as Baltimore beat the Browns the following week to level out at 1-1. But the Ravens literally fumbled away a 15-point fourth quarter lead at Highmark, demonstrating the same capacity for choking that Baltimore fans had to withstand in the divisional round of last year's playoffs. If 2025 was meant to be different, that opening day game was not a vote of confidence. This was also their only game in which they conceded fewer than 37 points, but more on that later. Week 3 was arguably a flashpoint in the season. Back in primetime, against another team that bounced back from a humiliating Week 1 loss, the Detroit Lions would have been the perfect victim for the Ravens to feast on and send a message to the entire league that they were back to their frightening best. And Baltimore appeared to keep it close through 3 quarters, until Detroit blew them out of the water in the fourth with a 7-play, 96-yard scoring drive. A Ravens field goal cut the Lions' lead to 28-24, and with the ball back in Lamar Jackson's hands, surely Baltimore was still in this. Instead, Derrick Henry fumbled again, allowing Detroit to extend its lead. When it mattered most, with the game on the line, Baltimore went 3-and-out and were duly punished by David Montgomery to give Detroit a 2-score lead. Mind you, this game was tied going into the fourth quarter. A garbage time score did little to lift spirits around M&T Bank Stadium. It was clear that these Ravens didn't have it. Things continued to get worse as the Ravens provided the Chiefs with the platform for a bounce-back game as well. Harbaugh's men were pummeled at Arrowhead 37-20 by a Chiefs team that had just one win on the season. Against another one of the league's elites, this Ravens team was comprehensively outclassed. To make matters worse, Lamar Jackson went out with a hamstring injury and would miss the following game. Things reached a new low in Week 5 as the Ravens remained a punching bag for playoff contenders who had gotten off to rough starts. This time, it was the Texans who blew Baltimore out 44-10, as the hosts looked helpless for all 4 quarters. According to the Ravens website, the Kansas City Chiefs scored 37 points against the Ravens after averaging 20 points in their first 3 games. The Texans entered Sunday's game averaging 16 points and nearly tripled that number. From puzzling interceptions to non-existent defense, this was an absolute beatdown in the purest sense of the word. Cooper Rush was nowhere near capable of replacing Lamar, throwing 3 picks and no scores on the night. The game was a sad indictment of the defense more than anything though, which allowed over 400 yards of total offense for the 3rd time in this young season. Finally, the Ravens showed some fight, but at that point, the damage had been done.
Because I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens right now. They don't resemble themselves. They don't resemble themselves at all. We haven't seen a John Harbaugh coach team look this pathetic in quite some time. And then they get upset because the Houston Texans come into your house and somebody scores a touchdown and they doing the Ray Lewis dance. You showed more fight trying to snatch the football away from them than you did during the game, than you did during actual competition. I mean, it's just embarrassing.
And that gets to the heart of the issue. The absence of ruthless, hard-hitting players in Baltimore is one thing, but the fact that the defense is now their biggest weakness, this does not look like the quintessential Ravens team.
Terrible. It's a terrible, terrible defense. And the identity of the Baltimore Ravens has always been defense. I'm going to smack you in the mouth. I'm going to beat the daylights out of you. You're going to feel it when you play us, and you're going to feel it the next week when you play your next game. Not that way anymore. I mean,
there's a sign in the facility. I've been in there before. There's a sign that says "Play like a Raven." I don't think they're doing that. And that simply means effort, tenacity, hustle, the physicality. It's not there. And I don't know if it can come back during the season.
Sure, injuries to some of their key players haven't helped. After all, they went into Week 5 without 7 of their Week 1 starters, and 5 of those 7 were on defense. But that can only account for so much.
There's nothing to explain on Baltimore's side of the football. I mean, it was atrocious. There's no silver lining that you'll look at on the defensive side of the ball and go, ooh, wait, I think they can do this or do that, and then they'll be okay. I mean, Roquan Smith's got a hamstring injury. He ain't going to be back for a while. I mean, it's going to take some time. Matabuke's gone. Marlon Humphrey's out for a while. Hamilton's dealing with injuries. And I mean, when they were in there, they weren't good on defense anyways.
Now, effort and identity are clearly issues for this football team. But according to their head coach, the biggest culprit is actually execution.
I think fundamental football is the most quickly fixable thing. And I expect to see us play fundamentally sound football. You know, I don't think we did that all the time today. It wasn't egregiously bad, but I mean, this run defense is it's not okay, you know, and that's not something that should happen. So we haven't fixed that really all year yet. That's the number one thing that's got to start. You can't be letting them get the yards of getting on first down. You can't play behind the sticks the whole game on both sides of the ball. And that's been pretty much a theme throughout the course of the whole season so far.
And he raises a crucial point there. Playing from behind has a huge impact on their game plan. Not only is the defense unable to get a foothold in games or ever catch its breath, completely at the mercy of its opponents, but it also significantly stifles the Baltimore offense. The Ravens' offensive identity, especially since Derrick Henry came into the building, has been that they are a run-first team. After all, they led the league in rushing yards and yards per carry in 2024. But when they are constantly playing catch-up with or without Lamar in the game, they are unable to lean on their run game nearly as much. As a result, they haven't looked nearly as prolific on offense in 2025, ranking 23rd in yardage gained. In 2024, they ranked first. As Dan Orlovsky points out, they also haven't been properly utilizing the talent in this rushing attack whatsoever.
Month into the season, the Baltimore Ravens, with Derrick Henry, are the 32nd ranked offense in the NFL when it comes to giving the ball to their running back on first or second down, meaning they run the football on first and second down with their running backs the least out of everybody in the NFL, the Ravens. Yet when they do it, they're second in yards per carry at 6.
So, with tactical shortcomings on both sides of the ball, an injury crisis that has depleted the defense, and overwhelming negativity surrounding the organization as a whole, how can they go about fixing it? The most immediately satisfying outcome for most Ravens fans would be a personnel shakeup, starting with defensive coordinator Zachary Orr. When Mike Macdonald took the head coaching gig in Seattle, many felt that the club was losing its successor to John Harbaugh. Orr was promoted as Macdonald's replacement, and although Baltimore finished as a top 10 defense for a third straight season in 2024, Orr has fallen under intense scrutiny in 2025 after his unit has conceded a league-worst 35.4 points per game. But when asked point blank if Orr should be fired, Harbaugh shut the idea down.
Do you have to consider changes on with Zach or the defensive staff?
Yeah, you try to do the most productive things, and I do not think that that's the answer. So we got to go to work is what we need to do. We need to stick together is what we need to do, and we need to find ourselves. And it has to do with coaches and players together.
But to many Ravens fans, the issues run far deeper than just Zachary Orr. For the past 7 years under John Harbaugh, this has been a team that has come close, but not quite close enough to winning a Super Bowl, despite having a 2-time league MVP and a surefire Hall of Famer leading the offense, as well as a rotating cast of star defensive playmakers. That is to say, the talent has always seemingly been there, but the results haven't. Moreover, their failure to close out big games, or in some cases even show up at all in the playoffs, has been a constant under Harbaugh. And so far in 2025, nothing has seemed to change. Losses to the Bills, Chiefs, and Lions prove that this team chokes under the brightest lights, which was the biggest hump they would have to get over if their fans were to legitimately dream of a Lombardi in the Lamar Jackson era. All of this raises the question, is John Harbaugh actually the problem?
Hey, they're in new territory, and it puts pressure and stress on the relationships at the top of the organization that it's never had before.
Right.
And there have been times where you kind of wonder, is John Harbaugh ready to move on?
Yeah.
I just wonder if this continues, is he going to be ready for a change?
I think
Are
everybody
the Ravens going to be
wonders.
ready for a change? Right. And are both sides going to benefit from a fresh start by everyone?
This really is a question worth pondering. Do the Ravens simply need a breath of fresh air? And if so, who would it even be? Harbaugh and his staff have it all to prove in these next few weeks if they're to win their fan base back over. If they can get a result against the Rams, finally make a statement, and go into the bye week 2-4, the season may not be over yet. After all, they're still somehow the favorites to win the AFC North. We saw the Eagles turn things around after their bye last season, but that would be a tall task for Baltimore given the hole they've dug themselves here. Whenever Lamar Jackson comes back, he will be a huge boost to an offense that has struggled to find its equilibrium thus far. Furthermore, their starters returning on defense, with the added urgency from their slow start, should also make a difference. Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, and Roquan Smith will all be back, with only Nnamdi Madubuike out for the entire season. Injuries aren't a good enough excuse for the embarrassment of the past few weeks, though. The 6 pressures Baltimore managed on CJ Stroud were the second fewest of his career, an embarrassing milestone for a franchise built on strong defense. Whether it's the coaching or the execution, the Ravens desperately need to clean up their play to keep any playoff hopes alive. But what do you think? Are Baltimore still capable of turning things around? Or is the clock ticking on Harbaugh's time in charge? Let us know in the comments.